And we are live. Happy Friday, everybody. We are out here again. Hope everyone is good. So, this evening, folks, this is our third episode of Australian craft beer focused on my hometown. Oh, you're doing that? Okay, that's right. I thought it was me doing it. Just me tonight. Tiff is super busy lately with all of our client stuff, so things are pretty hectic. But this is gonna be a good one. So you know what? I think I'm just gonna get right into it if I get. All right. What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 20 of Beer Not Just the Podcast Quarantine Edition Adjunct series. I can't believe we're at 20 episodes already. That's like we've been here for a while, guys. We've been in the house for a while. But this evening, this is our third episode of our Australian craft beer focus in a row, which is good. Doesn't happen that often, but it just worked out, so I'm super stoked. If you watched our last Australian vlog, I think it was from like March 2019, so that would have come out a few months after that. But we sat down with this gentleman briefly in that vlog, sorry, not podcast. But we were planning on, I was hoping to get one in this year. We didn't come because COVID ruined the world, but we finally made it work. We have Dereck Hales from Bad Shepherd Brewery. Dereck, what up, bro?
How's it going?
Good, man. How's things?
Yeah, all right. It's
pretty
Saturday
hectic,
morning here. Little hungover, but that's all right. All right, but I had a good Friday, so
I love it. How's the lockdown going for you guys?
Yeah, you know, it's a mix. It's kind of a tale of two worlds or two cities. On one side, we're selling beer like our cans are up. I think versus last year, nearly 340% right now. So
that's amazing.
Like last year, we did about 6,000 cans over 2 months to over 20,000 cartons. Sorry, 6,000 cartons to over 20,000 cartons. So it just exploded.
That's
for
insane.
Us. Yeah, but by the same token, because we're fully in lockdown here, we're selling 0 cartons, literally 0. So sorry, 0 kegs.
Kegs. Okay.
Yeah,
so have you had to transfer all the kegs into cans and package them somehow, or is that not really possible?
No, not yet. But we might be looking at dumping some things.
Okay.
So we took a hard look at it earlier, and we did the first lockdown we did actually, and then this time because we opened for about a month in Australia,
so
and
you got
closed
back
and
to...
then we closed again. So this time we're kind of hoping to come out of it. We're not going to go through that a second time.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of work to do it, and then increase the DO risk and everything else. We managed to keep the DO pickup really low when we did it, so we were okay. But it's still a lot of work. I'd rather not.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's rough. And then the brew pubs, we're down because we can only do takeaway and delivery. We're down about 90% year on year.
Okay.
So it's basically nothing. There's a stimulus program here called Job Keeper that keeps people employed, and if it wasn't for that, we would close our doors for sure. Because it's not even, we don't even earn enough over our bar to pay the wages. So
it's not even,
let alone not worth it. But job keepers keep them afloat, keep people working. So that's actually worked. We're probably the perfect example of the stimulus program in COVID working. So yeah, so it's funny. We're doing really well on one side and really poorly on another, and kind of balancing about even in the middle as a result. So,
okay, I mean, look, I guess during a time like this, it's almost not quite unprecedented, but at least in our lifetimes, the fact that you can still stay afloat and be about the same is, I guess you're going to take that as a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, a lot of people are doing a lot tougher. Yeah. It's about the same there have been no trade secrets about this, but it's about the same on a revenue basis. On a profit basis, it's really hard. But again, the stimulus package is helping. So profit on cartons in small breweries is about half that of kegs, and then
is a carton a case? Is it a carton a case?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Slabs.
There you go. So hang on. I'm trying to even think.
Say 2 4.
2 4. I'm trying to think. Where's carton from? Is that Canadian or is that Aussie?
That's probably Bad Shepherd speak.
Okay. Because I'm not too
We
sure.
would say cases or slabs here, and then obviously 2 4s there. So I need a beer. That'll help.
There you go.
Done.
What do you show us? What you're drinking first? There you go. Oh, the Vic
I'm
Pale.
cracking our Victoria Pale Ale, which is a top-selling beer.
That is a cracker of a beer. I think when I was there. I got some from you last year, and it was delightful because it was the first one I ever had that's all Victorian, all the malt, the obviously the water, the hops, and every yeast, everything local, which is super sick. Not surprised it's top selling. I am rocking this. Where is the camera here? This is a Helles lager from Saint-Guillaume-Baron in Gatineau, just outside of Ottawa. This is their Helles. Pretty sick. We went up there the first time because we're in Montreal. We hadn't left our area since March. We hadn't been to a brew pub since March, and a couple of days ago we went up there to see our friend works there, and it was nice because we were shook, man. Like I was like, man, like you have to leave the house to go to your business, right? Our business is this living room, so
you can't leave.
No, we just don't need to leave, and we don't own a vehicle because we don't need to. So we just hadn't been, and Montreal. I don't know if for people who don't know, Dereck, you're Canadian, you're from Ontario, Northern Ontario, and we'll get to that. But Quebec had 50% of the cases in Canada, and Montreal had more than 50% of the cases in Quebec. So this was the New York of Canada.
Wow.
So and that's like say out of it was over 100,000 cases. So there was 50,000 in Quebec, and I think it was 26 something thousand in Montreal. So people here don't give a fuck, man. They're just wilding. And the park. I can see the park from my balcony. People are just chilling all the time. When it was like peak crazy time, people just didn't care. So I was like, you're not catching me near any patios or going near anywhere. But when we went up, now it's calmed down a little bit. Up there, up north a bit, it was like more chill, and it was nice. It felt really safe. Everyone was super chill and keeping their distance, and everything was clean. So I felt good about it. It was nice to actually get out and drink somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave your home.
Right, yeah, because we just go to the supermarket and stuff. That's about it. We're going to be getting comments through because we're live on YouTube as well. So Mick the middleman says, "Oh, here we go. Hey, bro, what up, Mick?" Mick is from the Sunday Sesh podcast up in Brisbane. We had them on a couple weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
Do you know those dudes?
Nope.
No. Well, you guys. I guess. Are you?
I do. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm terrible with names, but maybe.
Hey,
I
man,
don't think so.
you meet a lot of people. Do you guys distro? Are you guys distro much outside of Victoria?
No, we're starting to now because of COVID, both in terms of demands of our slabs and and to try to find a way to sell some kegs. So
gotcha.
But prior to COVID, I would say less than 1% of our it maybe be a half pallet or a few kegs here and there when people really order something special, but no. But now we do. We're in WA. We're in a little bit in Adelaide. We're in Sydney. We're in Brisbane a little bit in bottle shops, and we're actually in Darwin and Alice Springs.
Wow, really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So I didn't even know what happened. We got this San Jose's Keg Stars, which is like a higher keg, and you stop paying for it when it's delivered to a venue. And I got this delivery receipt saying Northern Territory 2 kegs.
Like,
to some bar, and I said no, and I sent it to our warehouse manager. I said, you need to fix that. There's no way that's our keg. And then the next day, my sales manager said to me, so we're on tap in Darwin now.
You're like, what?
How does that happen?
I mean, that's a good sign, bro. The word is spreading.
Yeah.
The word is spreading.
Yeah,
I think that's a great thing. For people who don't know. That's what. How could you compare that to say North American geography for people to know how far Darwin is from Melbourne?
Oh, geez. I suppose if you're in Toronto, it'd be like being on tap in Yellowknife, I guess.
Wow.
Or Norse. Yeah.
So it's impressive. It's a sizable distance. I've never been to Darwin. Like I've heard good things.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah.
So let's get the history out the way so people know what's going on. So tell us, how you got into beer, how you ended, a Northern Ontarian boy ended up in Melbourne, and how the damn brewery started, brother.
Yeah, right. So, I moved to Australia in 2006. I am from Northern Ontario, a little small town called Manitouwadge. Born in Sault Ste. Marie, but I grew up in Manitoba. It's near Thunder Bay, basically. And,
Yes, sir.
but I've been in Southern Ontario for some time, working in finance at Kraft Foods, and an opportunity came up to transfer for a year out to Australia to work at Kraft, and so I took it. Came out to Australia, worked here for a year, renewed my visa because the opportunity just basically continued. And while I was here, I met my wife Dee Dee, who was also at Kraft. So it was a hallway romance, and we spent,
They're the best ones.
Yeah. It was a quick covert. It was pretty funny. It was the world's worst character. But,
you guys didn't hide it too well.
Yeah. We spent probably a few years dating there, and kind of we both were working there for a while, and then we both left. He left first and went to Origin, a gas company here, and then I took a redundancy package, and at the same time was planning to start a brewery. And so I quit took a redundancy package at Crafts, which had become one of the leads, and started looking at starting a brewery. I'd always wanted to start my own thing. My passion has been craft beer for some time. Kind of got into it through home brewing back in 2010. There's no surprise there. Probably every small brewery out there, or nearly everyone of that.
Were you doing that in Canada, or was it just an Aussie? No. You kind of discovered craft beer in Australia?
Yeah, it was a homebrewing kit in 2010. Somebody gave it to me as a gift, and I just started brewing and fell in love. They got the bug and couldn't stop brewing. I went from one kit to at one point I think I had six different different brews at the time, and I couldn't stop. I was obsessed. And so I just decided this is something I really want to do. I went and spent 2 years basically interning at Mornington Peninsula Brewery, which is a larger craft brewery here.
Who was that? Was that under AG?
Yeah, you know AG.
We interviewed. Yeah. He was my first Australian podcast back in 2016. Like randomly, he's a great dude, and he moved to the new what's it called?
Two Bays.
Two Bays.
He's back at Mornington now.
He's back. Okay, what happened there?
Well, he's not. He's back at Mornington's base. So it's all changed here now. So Mornington sold or was acquired by Tri Brewing, which is a larger craft brewery again, and they rolled them up. But then they closed their larger production facility, and then their brew pub. Tribe owns Stockade in Sydney.
Okay, sort of sounds familiar.
Yeah. Anyway, so they acquired Mornington. Mornington had a brew pub and then a large production facility. Mm-hmm. And then the original owner of Mornington bought back the brew pub facility and started a new place. And they closed the production facility. So Mornington Peninsula Brewery, which is a very popular touristy kind of destination, is actually brewed in Sydney now. So it's a bit
all the beer that.
I can't say for sure. So
okay. Probably the package stuff, maybe.
But they're closed. They don't have a production facility here anymore. So they're not brewed at their own place. And they do own production facilities in Sydney, so I would assume they're brewed in Sydney.
So the brew pub is still in Mornington on that little factory street?
Yeah, but it's no longer there. So the original guy that started Mornington and sold the Tribe bought that place back and started the new place. I can't remember what it's called.
So he owns he sold the thing and then ended up buying just the space back, but the brand moved to Sydney, which is funny.
Sydney production facilities closed. It's been sold to Hop Nation now. So, but they don't. Mornington Peninsula does not have a footprint per se as a brand in Victoria. So it's a bit weird.
But, and it's a place name. That's hilarious. Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, AG moved to Two Bays, and then he came back, and now he's the brewer at that brew pub. So he's gone back to the home base.
Right.
I think it's called like Tar Flats Brewing or something. It's Tar something, but
all right.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's fascinating.
Yeah, but I did. I trained under AG for a couple of years. Great guy to learn from.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Learned a ton. Good beer.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was a super cool guy. He seemed like really like experienced. He knew his shit. Like that would have been a great guy to train under.
Yeah. He's he can be grumpy though.
I can see that too. I can see him grumpy. Everyone's nice to me,
No,
so I don't get to see it like the other thing, you know?
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. Actually, he's probably the perfect guy to learn from, and he's been so kind to me since we got going. Since then,
that's great.
Yeah, so I spent 2 years there, and that was before I took the redundancy at Mondelez. I was really making a play to start a place. I knew I did. I had the training, put the business plan together, got the redundancy, found a place, said this is something I really want to do. So basically put my life savings into starting a brew pub. There weren't many brew pubs in Australia at the time. So
what year was this?
In Melbourne, 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, leased the place in 2014, opened in 2015. There's still not that many brew pubs in Melbourne. It's underdeveloped, but there's a lot more now. But at the time, there was a few cellar door or kind of tap bar arrangements, but not with a full kitchen and an actual brew pub. I think Temple might have been the only one at the time. But yeah, so we opened in 2015 with an American barbecue restaurant and a craft brewery attached to the back of it. So it's not a huge place, probably about just under 500 square meters. I don't know if that is in feet. I should. That's Canadian, but we're confused. We don't know if we're Mexican or Imperial in Canada.
It's so true. It's so true.
But, anyway, not a huge facility, but big enough to have a production place and a 130-seat venue. So all American barbecue. We got a really good smoker in there and a great menu. And then we launched with about 4 or 5 beers, and we've grown slowly. And now we're probably doing about 20 different limiteds a year. And then our core range is about 9 or 10 beers. So it's much larger now, but it's probably indicative of the industry. And there's just so many different avenues, and innovation is really what drives your business in craft beer. So but here we are today, 5 years later, still standing in a weird world, but we're still standing. So.
Hey man, that's great. That's super cool. It's probably pretty rare that like you would have. I just thought it was amazing when we connected that it was a Canadian in Melbourne actually starting a brewery and making it work, particularly in the area that you're in. There's not a lot around there either in South. No. What's the area called again? I'm having a blank.
It's in Cheltenham.
Of course.
But it's the Bayside suburbs, so it's in the southeast. So, yeah, we're actually the only brew pub. It's geographically advantaged in a big way for the Melbourne, I guess, demographics, because this kind of a main artery called the Nepean Highway. It goes all the way down through the southeast of Melbourne, and on one side, it's not like the bad and good side of the tracks. It's not that extreme, but the beach side of that highway, the property values are much higher. The demographics are much more affluent people, and we are on that side of it. So we're the only cellar door or even craft brewery of any arrangement on that side of the Nepean Highway. And it goes for a good, probably, like maybe 60 kilometers all the way down. I don't know.
It goes all the way. Does it go all the way down to damn near like Rosebud and stuff, or is it not that far?
I'd go at least
then. At least the Frank, which is a fair way from Melbourne.
Yeah. So, and the whole way, there's no other craft brewery on that side. So, it is geographically advantaged, and so our walk-up populace isn't huge, but it's pretty significant. And our drive-up from the right target market is really big, and we don't actually have anybody else to compete with. So, it's good that way. Not in COVID, but yeah, we certainly have a large following. So yeah,
that's great. You were canning from the beginning, or were you was it a brew pub operation?
Bottles at the start.
Bottles.
God, I'm so glad the world's changed the cans.
Bottles are a nightmare. Fuck.
Yeah, they were so hard. But so we started in bottles for the first. We bought our canning line this year in January, but we had already moved to cans, and we were using a mobile canning company. So I think we started our transition in the range about 3 years ago. We started 2 years ago. Probably half of our range had moved to cans, and then by 12 months ago we were fully in cans. So and that was the end of it. But we didn't actually buy our canning line until we bought it it arrived in January. It was fully commissioned and going by February. So I don't think that in terms of payback for an asset, my goodness, like we couldn't have hit that any better because we just sweated the hell out of it, canning everything we make now. So, and that would have been quite expensive with the mobile canning company. So I think time that quickly. So,
it probably would have been hard to get in that much as well. Now I bet they run off their feet.
Yeah.
So,
I imagine they must be booked like right out, right?
Have to have been.
Yeah. So you'd either be contracting your products then, or I don't know what.
I don't even know what you'd have to either just buy one and dish up the cash, which it must be. I don't think that. I know they're minimum 6 figures, right? They usually start around for the small ones, 100K.
I was pushing 300, so north of 250 anyway. So and
crazy.
Yeah, and the thing is, you also need commissioning and installation support, and depending upon where they're coming from and who you've got, like that's a bit hard to do right now, right? So because travel's it's impossible internationally, so you'd need somebody with boots on the ground, and they would have to be. At least here, because we're fully in lockdown, they'd have to be in Melbourne. They'd have to have the right skill. But like that's a tough thing to pull off, right?
Yeah. Are people allowed to? So for people who don't know, Melbourne's on a serious lockdown for 6 weeks. You're probably a little over halfway through now.
Yeah, we are. So Melbourne, I guess, it sounds a lot like Montreal, what you guys went through. So I don't know the numbers, but I'd imagine similar. So I think it's 100,000, 50-50. So roughly 25,000 in Montreal. Sounds like I would think we're a bit less, not a lot. And they've all been in the past 2 months. It's just Melbourne, Australia had COVID under control.
Like, you guys had 1,000 cases, I remember, in the whole country when we were like being shat on. I was like, man, you guys are killing this. Is great.
Yeah.
And all our friends there are just drinking on patios and going to restaurants like everything's normal, and then boom, it's just like caught up to you.
But it's only been Melbourne, Sydney a little bit. The rest of the country's fine. Like WA's. There's no restrictions at all in WA now. Completely removed. So they're just right back to normal. But here, it got really bad. We got to a point where we're getting north of 700 cases a day in the city. So it's pretty bad. So they implemented a lockdown, very extreme, near, it's quite draconian. So we have a curfew. You can't be out past 8 p.m.
8 till 5 a.m., right? That's pretty intense. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. That one's hard. I've been curious though, like because I live close to the brewery, so near the Nepean Highway, and I've been curious. I've always wanted to sneak out at 9:30 and just walk over and see if there's any cars on the road. Right?
See what's going on.
Is it worth a $1,600 fine? No.
$1,600? Shit.
Yeah. And $1,600 fine.
So the curfew? It is quite draconian in that sense. I understand they did New Zealand level procedures to get a hold of it, which I think is really, really smart. Even though they got a bunch of new cases, now they were kind of the poster child for how to do it in the world. Even over here, everyone's talking about they need to do it like New Zealand did. We never had to put it. We did not have that, man. I think it was a time. They just said, just go out of the house if you only need to go to the supermarket or the drugstore or whatever. Otherwise, don't leave. And that's kind of how we've been behaving. So it seemed kind of fine. But, the curfew, when... Is there any circumstances that anybody can leave the house between those times?
So during the day, you can leave. You can legally leave for 4 reasons. You can leave for shopping for essential goods, which is defined as supermarkets, food and drink, so it includes bottle shops, but or liquor stores.
Right. Do you say bottle oats? All right.
Yeah.
They get used to
anyway, food and drink. Pharmacies. So any essential goods shopping is 1 for maximum 1 hour of exercise a day, and you can only be with one other person.
Okay.
And 2 for work if you are an essential employee, and then for care, and that's it. So that's it. There's no other reason you can leave, and they're giving out 100 fines a day to people that are. It's pretty easy to say you're going to care for somebody. It's actually easy to lie. So kind of the lowest common denominator of people you're either shove it in the face or it's too stupid to lie. Not that I would. I've been following this, but
Yeah.
So these people are getting fined. I wonder how they get to that point. But anyway, so there's 4 reasons to leave. So past 8 p.m. The reason would be for care, if you have to go obviously for an emergency in terms of care, or for work if you're an essential employee and those are your hours of work.
Okay, but
So,
otherwise,
any other reason to leave. So and you have to have masks on when you leave your house. So
I like that. They should have done that
yeah.
so long ago. They didn't do that here until, I don't know, I can't remember when it was, but it was way later than a lot of other places. Like enforcing masks. I imagine they've got the laws there now where if it's indoor anywhere, you have to wear a mask. Is that, you guys have that?
It's, you leave your home. Doesn't matter indoor or outdoor. I don't know about the rest of Australia. Victoria, the second you leave your property, unless you're exercising, you have to have a mask on, or you have to have a medical reason not to. And that has to be, I believe you need to have a certificate for it. And if you're an essential employee, you also need a work permit. So you can't just say you're an essential. You need a permit issued by your company. So we do that, and we have a responsibility to log that for the government. So I permit to all the people that, and I'd justify, even some of them I had to justify why they could or couldn't work out of their home. So like my sales manager or myself or our marketing manager, I've had to tell them, you just have to stay home. I can't give you a permit because I stand to get a $30,000 fine if I break this. Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry, a $10,000 fine, and then it's a $30,000 fine if you flagrantly break it to a person. It's a $100,000 fine to business if you flagrantly break it. So I think it's really throwing it in the face. But a standard fine is $10,000 to the company and $1,600 to the individual if you break the rules.
That is no joke, eh?
Yeah, they're taking it quite serious, and they're issuing a lot of fines. Like I said, there's a lot of stupid, but it's not hard. Just stay home. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, man. It's the only way to stop this. Like, it's been pissing me off the whole time. We've really stuck to it, and I keep seeing people say like, yeah, I'm taking it serious, and I see as soon as people are out on patios or just doing all this shit, going to people's houses, and that's the thing. Yeah. It's not even the patios that are the problem. It's the gatherings inside private residences that is ruining everything. So, yeah, I'm with the same. I'm kind of frustrated at all the people who didn't do it, and all of those that sort of selfish. No, man, I just have to. Like, you have to be out. You have to see your friend. You have to. Like, let's just kill this shit so then we can move on with our lives. Businesses can go on and everything else, but I guess humans are inherently selfish, and they're not. Particularly in this Western world, they're not used to doing something that they don't want to do. I guess so.
And everybody creates all these conspiracy theories, try to blame.
Yeah, man.
The fact that is hurting a lot of people and actually killing a lot of people. That's all it is. It's a virus, and we can stop being a dick and stop blaming falsehoods and ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
So it's so simple, and people make it so complicated, and it just
Particularly the mask thing. The mask thing's the one that pisses me off a lot. Like, I'm like, are they good to wear? No, it's fucking annoying. I don't like it, but does it help? Of course. So shut up and do it. You just shut up and do it. Yeah. Like I'm used to be, before conspiracy theories went right wing, which it never was. Like, I'm talking like 17 years ago when I got into it, it was way more left wing, and all of a sudden, just over time, it just moved up the scale.
It's shifted.
Hey,
I wonder if I can show you something actually.
Yeah. Why?
No. I've got a Bad Shepherd mask, and they're actually really cool. Hang on a second.
Oh yeah, show us that. Whilst Derek's looking for that, Steve-O says, "G'day, boys. G'day, Steve. How you doing, mate?" Oh, Lee, plenty cars on the roads after 9 p.m. last night. That is wild, actually.
I like that.
It's a little. Hang on, there we go. Oh, that's nice. That's branding, bro. I love that. Someone actually just asked in the comments before. They asked for the Bad Shepherd website, so I just popped it in there to buy merch. Can you buy them on your website? People can purchase the masks and stuff.
They will by next week.
By next week. So, who was it? Let me just scroll back up. Sports and Brews. The website I posted in there, just while you were talking earlier, I googled it and found it. So the merch is on the website, but next week you better get the masks. And Lee jumped on. Lee said there was plenty cars on the road after 9 p.m. last night. So I imagine that would probably be the essential folks that what you're talking about, probably. Otherwise,
I don't know.
It's kind of wild.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little crazy, but the curfew thing, like, I do understand. Like, you don't want the government to overstep too much because it could lead into some dark shit. But I don't know. This is real people are dying. I know people. My cousin had it in Melbourne. They had it. His whole family got it early on too. Like I know people. I've got friends who have had friends who've died from it. There's a bunch of people like I don't know. It's just real. So like whatever we can do to get rid of it would be nice.
They were pretty sick, but they've recovered. But yeah, they both got it too. So.
Wow. Do you know what the worst shit is though? And this is what I say to people because the number one thing from the sorry.
How dumb is this one? How dumb is this one?
I hate that. I was like, you're defeating the purpose.
What? Really? Oh my god. Driving nuts. Yeah. Anyway.
That honestly, that shit is completely ridiculous. The worst thing though, people who are complaining about it say, fuck, I lost it. They were talking about the government overstepping the mask. Fuck, it'll come back to me. Lee just commented again. He said he thinks they're essential, but he was surprised at how many people. So I guess it depends how broad the essential.
Yeah, could it be like maybe delivery drivers from restaurants that are, because I think technically we close, but
you could do takeaway, right?
We got Uber drivers,
yeah.
Whatever. I guess, and then people that work long hours or through if they're 24-hour shifts at distribution centers and stuff like that.
I think if here is anything to sort of base it on, I reckon it's the deliveries, like the Uber Eats and stuff. Like we'd never ordered so much Uber Eats, like because we were like, fuck, we want to support the local restaurants, so we tried to do it once or twice a week. And whether we went, hopefully tried to go for the black-owned restaurants as well after all the social justice stuff's happening here. My girlfriend's Jamaican who co-hosts me, so it's important to us that that we support that as well. So I think that just so many the Uber drivers, I really think they're the ones who are doing the street.
Yeah, they're the ones that could get you things, right? So.
Yeah, and they're putting themselves on the line too for everybody to make sure that you get your food and you get your whatever you're ordering. So.
Yeah. Hey, do you have a lot of corrugate? Like, I was just thinking, because we online shop everything now, right? So I'm just wondering, like, every time I look in our garage, there's this pile of corrugate again. Like, oh my god! Like, is every house across the world just piled up with more and more boxes? Because
I bet. Yeah, I think so. I really think so, man. There's so many things. I'm just even looking over at my pile of boxes right now. I just use them for recycling. I just to open them up and just fill them up with the recycling. I used to have another box for it. Now I just fill it up and take that downstairs and boom. So I bet there's something. I saw something the other day. There was people got busted for stealing cardboard because you can take the cardboard and get money for it somewhere. I forgot what it was, and they were breaking into businesses and stealing cardboard. It was hilarious. I remember what I was mad about though. It was the people who were saying that like, look, it's like 2% of people die from it, but like. It's just a fucking flu, and like, dude, it's not the point. Like, it's not about the people who die. If you look at the overall population, it's not even that. It's just the fact that it spreads much worse than the flu does. That's the problem, that it spreads. And two, they're discovering all this stuff about the other problems. So like, there's like heart and lung issues that are coming up, and we've got my dad died of heart issues. So if I got the shit, I'd be really concerned for anything else to mess with the heart. If you got someone in your family, if anyone has any of those things in the family, they don't know enough about it. So it's more just like people will just kind of act like they're not scared of it, and it's like, yeah, whatever, Mo. Like you want to live your life, and I totally get it because I don't. Normally we'd be traveling. We were supposed to be in England right now, and going all across Europe and stuff. That was the plan from the start of the year. We had everything good. That's why we ended up going to Australia and stuff. But yeah, that's the thing that annoys me the most. But hopefully now, at least your government there has taken a strong enough stance to.
Yeah, they are, and hopefully it comes good. Looks like New Zealand came too. Like it got bad, but I read something yesterday saying like they only had 10 new cases yesterday, and they were confident they knew the origin of all of them or something. So I think they stepped up again. That prime minister, man,
she's great, eh?
Doesn't take any shit. She just doesn't. And she's decisive. She's like, man, that's I don't even know if is she left or right. I don't even. She's just going like. To me,
that's a good point. I'd love to know if she. Like,
I've seen what she's done, and to me, I'm like, oh my god, like that's what every leader should be doing. Just like, you know what, I'm here to do a job.
Yep.
You're all fucking shut down, and we're gonna get this done. and shut up.
That's it. Shut up. We're doing this, and I feel like I heard the what's the word, like the uptake, if that's the word, from New Zealanders. They were just like, all right, there was, I don't think there were like marches. Even here in Montreal, we had those dickheads marching about not wearing masks. Like, my body, like, shut the fuck up, man. How, like, I just don't understand what's, do you really want to try and fill the hospitals and stuff? It's just not that crazy. So I feel like maybe because she was decisive and like, this is what's happening, and there's only, 5 million people there or something, 4 to 5?
Yeah.
So they were able to get nice community buy-in. So there was no pushback, or at least if there was pushback, it would be minimal. I don't imagine New Zealand being kind of more leftish. I feel like they're intelligent, and I don't associate intelligence with... Right. You feel me, bro. You feel me.
I probably.
Yeah, I just feel like that...
It's just more an interesting thing to me because, often I think we all have cognitive dissonance and clear bias relative to our own political leanings. It just naturally happens.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I have no idea what her political bias is or what she stands for. I just saw what she did, and I'm like, I don't care if she's left or right. She just was fucking awesome. Like, that was good. But, yeah.
I'm just Googling it now. Let New Zealand Prime Minister Party. She's from the New Zealand Labour Party, so that's left, right?
Left, yeah.
So, if that's the same as Australia, which is also kind of weird.
Man, does that mean... Because I actually personally lean left, so I just wonder if maybe that's why I've liked her. Now, I kind of wished she was right. And that would make me feel really good. But oh well. So maybe my own personal bias.
It would... It would be good to see someone on the... Because it's usually, who are the ones complaining? It's always... I mean, we watch, as you know, growing up here... A lot of the news and stuff we get here in Canada is from the States. They don't focus as much on local, so I know more about what's happening there than I do locally, which is kind of crazy. Right? Okay, so you know the deal. So then we always see all the people in the States and all the people who are always marching about not wearing masks and open up the businesses and send them to schools. They're always Republicans. They're always right-wing. Yeah. So I just can't imagine that any... sort of liberal or left-wing-ish, or at least left-leaning, even if it's centrist left-leaning or whatever, I can't imagine them, being the ones to kick it up a stink. So it kind of makes more sense.
The only place it would is with, and look, I want to be really clear. I got myself in trouble with this before. I fully support Black Lives Matter. I'm not good, but the mass demonstrations generally tend to be more left-leaning people. And so that's probably the place where they are also choosing to demonstrate or do things that can cause risks.
So, and that
might be a broad brush. I'm sure there's right-leaning people that are also demonstrating. But in terms of demonstrating for rights, usually isn't left-leaning people.
For the most part, for the majority, I would imagine. Unless they're like sensible conservatives, because there are sensible conservatives. We just see the crazy ones on they're the ones who get the press. Steve said my question disappeared. Yes, it did, Steve. I didn't see any question, bro. Just the get a thing. So chuck that in there again. But yes, like the protest stuff, I saw a lot of people, and usually it's the people kind of showing who they are, showing their colors. Like, look, I think it's almost like it's two things. I don't know if those protests caused any spikes, because they were in every city. And I don't think Montreal saw a spike. I don't think Toronto saw any spikes from having those protests. I know Melbourne, which made me very proud, they were marching for Indigenous rights and stuff like that. I thought that was sick. Yeah. Is it the time for it? Fuck no. But when's a good time for human rights?
Exactly. And if it's right and it's getting the attention, I understand and I fully support it.
Yeah. I understand.
Not supporting it. I didn't even know I did. I shared a video of something that I thought was really horrible. And it turned out to be from some guy that runs a right-wing nut job thing. And I had like 3 friends in Canada immediately go, do you know what you just did? I'm like, oh my God. I deleted it and I had to put something up saying, look, that is not me. I didn't know. I just saw something really bad and I shared it. And so, and it's one of those, it's just, you can trip over things so quickly.
Yes.
By offending others with something. Anyway, but yeah, I got out of it.
That's the only way, man. As long as you put it up, they go, shit, my bad, and it's gone. So, speaking of that, are you familiar with the Black is Beautiful beer collab from Weathered Souls? Who put that out there? Did you see that?
No.
Actually. Okay, fuck. Well, this is great. Can you just grab a Black is Beautiful can? Yeah, thank you. So basically, there's a brewery in San Antonio, Texas, called Weathered Souls. One of the owners and the head brewer, Marcus, he's an African American man. And you remember the other half, Altogether collab? Are you familiar with that? No? Oh shit. Okay. So other half in Brooklyn, they did this collaboration and they call it a worldwide collaboration called Altogether, and it came out in like April, May.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so the idea they give the profits.
Everybody was brewing.
That's it. Everyone did it. Exactly. At the same time, the profits went to hospitality charities and to help all the bartenders and servers and waitresses and cooks and all that shit, right? Now, in response to the social justice stuff, this is one of the from Nickelbrook. No, it's not. Where's this one? This is from Nickelbrook in Ontario, in Burlington, Ontario. So
Nickelbrook, I love Nickelbrook.
Yeah, you know them. Yeah, so they're good peoples.
Their shirts.
Yeah. They say they got so much better. Their logo. Oh, is it on here? Yeah, the logo's a lot nicer now. Is it going to do it? Yeah, you go. It's definitely switched it up. So thank you, babe. Oh yes, I'll definitely drink that.
I meant me.
Oh, what do you mean? Oh, you can have it. Oh, yeah, no, you have it. So basically, that collaboration, what it is, it's an imperial stout. Exactly the same concept as the other half one, and it doesn't have to. Actually, that was only 6.3%. So it can be imperial, it can be barrel aged, it could be whatever you want. And the idea is the profits go to social justice and racial equity charities. So there's one brewery in Melbourne that did it, which is Dollar Bill. I mentioned it. I know a handful of people well enough in Australia. I messaged Mr. Banks about it because Chris is a good mate and things like that. But basically, it's sort of like I don't think the message spread as widely because even though there were protests across the world and it was what a lot of people were talking about and thinking about for a while, it didn't spread. But it's blackisbeautiful.beer is the website, and it's a pretty cool idea, and it doesn't have to just be like now you have to do it. You can do it once a month. You could do it once a year. Right. You could just do it one time and never do it again, I guess. But it's one way to sort of show solidarity with, and you give it to local charities. The whole point is to keep it local. So if there's local charities that could be, helped by those funds that generated from that beer, then you're able to, donate it to those in the exact same way that Altogether donated to the hospitality charities and stuff. So
I'm going to look into that because we've talked about what we could do, and it's just hard because I don't know what to do. I support it, and I don't know. It's not fair. Like you need to, and that's where that's where our own privilege comes in. Like it doesn't matter, then do something, and anything is. And so I've been remiss in that, and I need to do something. So I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, man.
I think that's awesome. Like there's no you got to do something, and I agree. Like it's a terrible time to be protesting, but the fact it's finally making a change is incredible. And
Amen.
So therefore, to me, this is when you got to say, just do it. Like it's okay. Like it's because it's actually happening for the first. So many times you think back to the Rodney King thing and all that. Like just so many little pulses, and then everybody just goes back to their life. This time, I think the big shift has been, you know what? No, you don't just kind of let this go. We all take responsibility, not just, hey, that's bad, and I can understand why there's a little riot. No, we all own it, and we all need to step up and have a conversation and do something, right? And that's
100%.
It's awesome. I love it. I think it's so overdue. The danger part has not been that, because there has not been problems with that. And if there were, again, I think we would understand if there was problems for COVID. What I worry about is the broken windows thing, where people then start to think, well, if they can, I can. And then I'm having a party at my house because of that happened. And, and I think it goes back to privilege. You got to realize there's a reason this one thing is happening. It's not a green light to change your lifestyle and disrespect the fact that COVID is a problem, and that's, it's not hard to understand that, but I think a lot of people are using it as a reason, an excuse to guard rules, so.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a good point, because that's where it starts. You see other people, you're like, oh, well, I'm okay to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going and going, and then we just never get rid of it. And it's just like such an interesting, it's been the wildest year ever with all of these crazy things going on at once. You can barely keep track of anything. And then, just when you think COVID might be chilling out, then it comes back, and then you guys were great, and then going into now a serious lockdown. Here, as you know, people are about to go back to school in September. That concerns me greatly, because you think about children. We saw the other day, we were going for a walk, and we saw a bunch of, I don't know if they do it in Australia, but you might remember here, they have, like, say they're like 3 or 4 years old, tiny little kids, and they tie them all together with these little straps, and the teachers walk them around the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I've seen that here too.
You see that? Okay. It's super cute. It's funny. But I'm looking at them and I'm like, oh, like y'all aren't, like, you guys are just going, if anyone gets it, if anything happens, like, everyone's screwed. Their parents, then their grandparents, the teachers, anyone working there. It's like, it's a nightmare waiting to happen. And I understand as well the other problem with my friends.
My wife calls them little grenades.
Little grenade.
For that reason. They can explode. Yeah.
That's a great analogy, because that's basically what it is. But I was talking to one of my friends who's one of the main beer writers here in Quebec, and he has 2 kids. He and his wife work. They're working from home. But he's like, I'd have to quit my job to keep an eye on. His kids are so young. They're like 6 or 7 and 3 or 4, something like that. Like young enough where they need attention constantly. So they both have to leave their jobs to adequately homeschool their children. So they have to send them to school. So then it puts them in a position where they don't really have a choice. And I feel like a lot of people are in a similar situation. Even if they do have a decent amount of income and they can afford some other alternative, at the end of the day, though, like sending them out of the house every day around all these other kids, and then I don't know. It's just a recipe for disaster, man. What's the deal in Australia? I guess it's winter time there, so everyone's in school, or they pulled everyone out of school, right?
Yeah, the schools are closed.
Okay.
Except for essential. I think it's the same thing about essential workers, at least with daycares and kinders. I think there's, I think kinders are still. This could be like preschool in Canada, I think. But yeah, but basically the younger kids, I think they're still with essential workers. I think the rest of them, I think it's fully closed, and I think they're all learning from home. Even with essential workers, I think but you have an excuse. Yeah, that's where you have somebody come over for care to help. Mm-hmm. But yeah, how's the Helles?
Helles was good, man. I had this was the first beer I had out of the house at the brew pub the other day. Super nice. It's nice in the can. I love a good Helles, man. A little crispy is great. Went down nice. Did you move on to the to a coffee?
I was drinking coffee in between.
Hey, man.
Morning. No, I'm still on it, but I might shift. You know what? What's probably better? Then I might shift to morning a mid-strength beer. So
mid-strength
tiny IPA.
Do you wanna hold it? Sorry, do you wanna hold it back up just for a second because it's a little glitchy on the screen? Oh, there you go. Tiny IPA. That's a new one.
Yeah, it's 2.9% mid-strength IPA. So
nice.
Yeah, probably should have started with that.
Well, what's the Vic one? It's only like, isn't it 4 high 4s?
It's 4.2.
4.2.
Oh yeah.
Nice. That was one of my favorite. Do you know one of my favorite beers I had from you, and I believe it was the first Milkshake IPA I had in Australia, if I'm not mistaken, was the strawberry one. That shit was fantastic, man. Like, that was killer. I really, really enjoyed that. And you sent me home with an Imperial Stout as well. There was like a low feel of an Imperial Stout you hadn't released yet, and that was fantastic. Honestly, that beer was why when we were talking, I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna tell them about the Black is Beautiful beer, because that Imperial Stout was killer.
Yeah, that would have been an awesome beer for that. I'm definitely looking at that. Yeah, that would have been awesome beer for. We just launched like 6 more Russian Imperial Stouts 2 weeks ago. Could have actually connected that again. It's good I know about it. I'm definitely looking at that.
Yeah, man, it's perfect. We have a message for you here from Rick Hales. It says, hello, Dereck, from Dad and Mum in Canada. That's awesome. What a legend. Hey, Rick. Appreciate you guys. That's cool. Are they in the same hometown?
They're in London.
Yeah. Oh, London. London's nice, man. London's huge now.
Yeah. So they moved. My family is a mining town, and the mine closed. So Mom and Dad, when the mine closed, they moved down to South Ontario to be with the kids, because all kids, when we grew up, we all moved away from the town and didn't go back. So I'm obviously here. My brother's in Burlington, and then my sister is in London. So they moved to be near my sister.
Oh, that's dope.
They literally across the park from her house, so they help with kids, and or line of sight of each other's house. It's quite nice. So yeah, it's good when I go home too. It makes it easy to visit.
Right, that's super convenient. That's great. And Burlington's not too far. What's that? London's 2 hours. I think Burlington's like 45 to an hour from Toronto.
I think so. Yeah, maybe an hour and a half from Burlington to London, maybe less.
Okay, so Burlington's closer.
Yeah, they're both west.
I love it.
Yeah.
Rick said, "World's best beer for sure." I think he'll talk about Bad Shepherd's beer. You're damn right, Rick. You are damn right, sir. Babe, do you mind grabbing me the blue? It's called Celeste. It's from Sankey and Baron on the fridge. Thank you. Yeah. So I was super impressed. So when was it last year or was it the year before? I think it was. I just can't remember when we did it. Was it? I think it was last year.
Yeah, it was January 19 because that's when we did the strawberry milkshakes. And
Okay,
we re-released it again 2 months ago.
Oh yeah,
and
nice.
it did really well again. It just sold out. It was gone. So
of course.
Yeah, but it did well.
It was awesome. I was just super impressed with your beers. I think do you know what it was? I went there the year before. I did an interview with Will from Crafty Pint.
Right.
So he interviewed me for his stuff, which was dope, and we chose Bad Shepherd. Everyone kept telling me to go. This is on a year before we connected.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'd been there, and I did like a flight and tried all the stuff, and which is usually what I would do. And I feel like even in that year, it's my favorite thing about Australia, man. Every time I've been back 3 times in the last decade, which is pretty whack. But it's like every time I go back, the improvement in the beer is so significant, and maybe it's just from being away, but like I love it. It's the most exciting beer scene in the world, in my opinion, because of how quickly it's growing and changing, and just it's not improving in the fact that it was bad. It was just newer, and I feel like it was in as far as the mainstream acceptance of it. You look at the percentage of craft beer sales in Australia compared to in Canada's like 5%, the States is like 12%. I imagine Australia would be pretty low single digits, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it was 6 2 years ago. So, and it's going up. It's growing this year. Last year grew over 30%. And this year it's growing, I think, more than that. We don't have any stats yet. I actually sit on the board of the Independent Brewing Association, so I do get to see some numbers. And they're public numbers, anyway, but I'm trying to see it more often. Yeah, we are running north of 30%. The latest numbers I've seen, so it's nice. going. We're stealing share a lot. What I love is we're defining an identity. Like I think when it first started, it was like, hey, IPA, the US loves them, great, let's make them too.
Yeah,
and that was all it was. And I think we're defining what Australian craft beer is, and much like Canada is too. And I think each country is to find its own way to position beer to the populace of drinkers that are into it. So, for us, that's a lot of things about, kind of more sessionable sours and more sessionable pales. Wheat beers just tend not to work in Australia. I don't know why, but they don't. It's more about the poppy light pale ales, or it's, and I'm sure that's the same around the world, but it's probably the way we do it, the way we celebrate it. It's the culture here of socializing makes it seem too simple, but it's about drinking with your mates. Like there's something about that here, and kind of I don't know. That's how beer is. I mean, it's how we all consume it, but I'm not using the right words.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. It is. It's an Aussie thing. It's hard to quantify it unless you're there. Yeah, it's like it's just drinking with your boys. It's like, yeah, man. So like having a 9% or whatever 12% imperial stout typically doesn't go with the Australian culture. It has to shift.
Yeah. So and the ABVs keep dropping. And that's good. It's cheaper. So.
Hey man, I love it. Just real quick, this is the next one. I got the same brewery, Sankey on Baron. This is Celeste. It's their pale ale. Super dope. Nice New England style. Wicked can. I love these like full can wraps. It's not plastic, where it's like matte on the can. Do you guys do that, or is it like a wrap? I think you guys print on can too.
Yeah, so ours are like so this is cool beer. So this is you can see it's printed as well. So but it looks like a peanut butter jar. I don't know if you can tell.
Oh,
it's
sort of like sick! Dope.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun beer. But, so all of ours are printed, unless we do labels. So we'll do some of our beers like if we do
like a small batch, right? You do like a label for it.
Yeah, so this is one that this is a label beer, so it's kind of just it's
Yes.
printed can,
I love that
and
you have the
then
black cans. They're so sick. They're so rare too. That was
uh,
the stout you gave me was like in that can. I was like, yo, this is the sickest shit I've ever seen. I've never seen one before that. Like an old.
yeah, yeah. We print they're printed, but they're just printed at the top. They kind of put I don't know if you can see it, but it sort of says leading you into temptation.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, man, it's the details. But even like, I
Yeah,
love that you've got those things printed on can. Then you've got, is the labels that's a sticker, or is that?
yeah. Stick on that. This is actually being released. And it's releasing nationally. It's the first national release through Coles,
Nice.
the company. So
Through
I'm
Coles?
just actually.
Did you say
I've really
Coles?
seen it yet. This is coming out in First Choice Liquor and sellers nationwide.
Well done, bro.
Next month. Yeah, but yeah, I really like these labels. It's really cool. It's sort of like
They're a little
um,
metallic on them too, right? They got that little metallic-y part and like.
yeah, and it's got this little kind of green hop there. So it's pretty cool how it. It's
I
just
love
this
it.
nice. Yeah, it just the idea of temptation and the good and the bad like that is pretty. I love it. It's
That's
really
great,
cool.
man.
Yeah.
Even just like your merch is sick. Like, even just like when I was looking for the website to give to the gentleman who asked, like I was like, "Yo, this is fun." Yeah, like the T-shirt is great. The logo is fantastic.
Yeah, thanks. It's just got that evil kind of look to it, but
Yeah,
it's like a evil, like we're dark, but we're playfully dark. So like,
playful dark.
um,
Just a little bit of
yeah,
Satan. Just a little bit of Satan. Just a touch. Just a touch. That's great, man. I love it. I love that you're getting like now a beer across. Is this the first beer you've had in those major
yeah,
stores? Sick, man.
yeah. So they reached out to us. They Coles actually contacted us about it. Us to give them something. Well, they asked for this one, so we launched this our peanut butter porter this year. We made it a year ago in
For Gabs or something?
reject.
Uh
Oh
oh.
my god! Look at the printing on that. Oh.
Happens to the best of us, bro.
Um, so we made it. No, we made it. So we got this series we call Brew Crew, where our staff make their own beers.
Yes, I love those
And
ones.
it's pretty cool. They all get the chance to make them. We're up to number 11. We just launched, which was this one actually. It's Sticky Date Stout. We made with I don't know if you can read that, but the Jazz of All Trades. It was one of our delivery.
That's sick. Sticky date
Yeah,
stout. That's great.
so it's number 11 in the series. And so she wanted to make Sticky Date beer. So it came out beautifully. Anyway, the one of the ones we made in the Brew Crew series was by a chef a year ago. It was a peanut butter porter, and it was the highest rated beer we ever had, and people just absolutely fell in love with it. So we thought, let's launch this thing. So brought it back, and it's so far in can, it's actually outselling our Victoria Pale Ale since it launched. Victoria Pale Ale over time is still the top selling beer, but right now through the winter, this is our top selling beer. So which is
Wow.
really cool. And Coles reached out to us and asked if we would make them a 440 ml version of it to put in their stores, and we said yes. And then they said, "Well, we want to put 2 in. What else would you do?" And we said, "We'll give you a double IPA." So we came up with the idea of this Temptation double IPA. They're both going into stores nationwide in a few weeks. So yeah, we just canned it. That was canned yesterday, actually. So
Amazing, man.
yeah,
Congrats. That's really cool. I mean, that's a great step for craft beer, right? That they're actually reaching out to you, asking for not
yeah,
one but 2 SKUs. I
yeah.
think it really speaks to what you've been able to achieve
It
in
was
the last 5 years.
all over when that happened. And it was really funny because they actually reached out. It's still to this day. I think yesterday we delivered the samples right on the day we can, but to this day they still didn't even know what we were doing. We just said, they said, "We really want your peanut butter porter." We said, "Sure," and then could be another one. We said, "Yeah, how about a double IPA?" They said, "Done." So we were internally just calling it Coles double IPA, and then we learned what it was. They never asked for any flavors. They're just like, "Yeah, we'll take it."
Cool, whatever it
We didn't
is.
even ask what it would be. Nothing, right? And they're like, "Done. We'll take it." Wow, that's a high trust level, right? To
Right?
nationally list, we didn't tell you what it was, but they believed it, I guess, and they took it. And I'm really happy with it. It's come out beautifully. But yeah, it's so funny how they just, yep, done. We'll take it.
Strength of the brand, bro. Strength of the brand. They know.
Yeah,
They can trust it at this point, right? You got 5 years. It's not like you're not. They don't ask anybody this stuff, right? So you're at the point,
yeah,
and I can tell. Like even just going there, And once again, that's what, even when I went in 2016, 2018, 2019, in 2016, it was all golden ales and summer ales. And to be honest, I found most beers I had pretty boring. When I went in 2018, I was like, whoa, like this is crazy now. Like, okay, this is getting good. I maybe had 3 different New England IPAs when everything here was already New England. There was like just a sprinkle there. 2019, like everyone had New Englands. I think that's when I came in, had the milkshake. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I saw you at, where did we go? What was the Good Beer Week gala at
Yeah,
at Thinger?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was my first Aussie beer festival, and it was 6. There's another Canadian dude. I think his name's Steve from Tallboy and Moose.
Yeah.
So I met him because he knew us because he's Canadian. So I guess he's tapped in with that. So I kind of got to connect. It was just, that was cool for me to really see at a glance what the Australian / Melbourne really like kind of craft beer scene was. I was like, man, this is some shit. This is why I want to make sure that we're continuing to promote Australian craft beer on this platform, because I'm just like, I bet that's why I was really vexed, man, that we didn't make it this year beforehand. Like, we kept putting it off, like, should we go in January? Nah, February. Oh, let's go in March, because we don't need to book it that far. We're staying with mum, whatever. And we pushed it, and then we missed out. So because I wanted to see, because it was the year before and it was crazy. So I can only imagine what's happening this year. So I don't know when I'm going to get back, but I think it's just it really speaks to the creativity, and like you said, the drink beer with your mates thing. I think that's very strong. Then craft has a lot of work to do, but I've seen, and I imagine you would have seen the same thing. I had some staunch anti-craft beer people, good friends of mine, real good friends of mine too, that are now buying tickets to Gabs and going to all the breweries and stuff. And I was like, all right, we got you. All right, who's next? So I'm like, I'm seeing them tumble slowly, because once you get exposed to flavor and actual like real products, local, and Aussies more than anywhere else I've ever been in my life love local. It's all about local there. So they rep heavy. They don't care. You can get the fire from international, like cool, but I've got Bad Shepherd down the road, man. I'm just gonna go there. Like, it's a beautiful thing. So I can see that, and also as the quality is changing, and what you just can't you can't go and have a Carlton Draft and then go and have Victoria Pale Ale, and you'd be like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you just can't go back, right?
Yeah, you just can't do that. And is that your beer? That would be your gateway beer, I imagine.
The Vic Pale would be for us. Yeah. Is that what you're saying? Our gateway beer?
To bring non-craft. So say if someone comes in, even because I felt it was not. I drank it with you, and I think you gave me a couple cans, so I didn't think I took some back here. And I remember I did a 1-minute review of it at my mum's house, and I drank it numerous times, and I was like, like I get it. I get what this is. This is not for the craft beer, no. This is for the person who might come in. The branding is still very Bad Shepherd, but it's something about it's familiar a bit. They might be like, okay, and they see the way that the letters are arranged on it. I don't know if I imagine that was intentional to sort of generate like, hey man, it's Victoria, fuck yeah, it's local, yeah. And that beer,
like the blue and yellow is so Victorian, right?
Super.
So everything about that was, and we tried to make it look more traditional and more like an old beer can as opposed to something very modern. So, and it is definitely our gateway beer. And
so if people come into the brewery, they're going to ask for something. Say, hey man, I drink VB or I drink blah blah blah. Then what do you got? You'd probably hit them with that, even maybe over a Pilsner or some other thing, I would imagine.
Yeah, you want to introduce it to flavor that's not so abrasive that it kind of scares them. So we do have an Italian lager that we make. So with continental 4 malted barley, Pilsner, Pilsner malt. So that we give to people as well. So we did have a Czech Pilsner, but it's kind of on its way out now because we felt like we didn't need both, and we actually feel like we're happier with this Italian lager. So it's traditionally brewed, like we actually use all four malted barley, Italian, noble hops, but we try to ensure that they're sourced from Italy. Hard to do, but we're trying on that. And really cold fermented, so like at 11 degrees all the way through. So and then we give it a good lagering after that. So it's actually we're really happy with it. So we kind of give the people those two, but I think that's going to be a little bit too close into what they're drinking today. So yeah, as a general, if you come in the door, this is usually
That's what you get them.
yeah. For
But
that
you've
reason, you
also,
want
I, yeah, totally. So you got the gateway, but like the thing about, so for the beer nerds, it's cool to go to a brewery that has a bunch of great easy drinking gateway beers. If you're gonna say, hey, like let's just go to a pub. Well, back when the world was normal, you'd be let's go to a pub or whatever. Oh, cool, let's go to this brewery. And if you're trying to bring your non-craft beer friends, you go, no, they got some stuff. But then the craft beer nerds will be satiated with those beers because I imagine I'm really appreciating crispy boys. Do they call them crispy boys there?
no,
No. So like crispy, like everything's a boy. Like the fridge is a cold boy or whatever. So crispy boys are like lagers, pilsners, any sort of like beer that tastes like beer is a crispy boy. So with the crispies, like that's what I'm about. If I go to your brewery, I would have more than any. Even over the milkshake first, I'd be going straight for that Italian pilsner. The way you're describing that, I'm salivating. It's amazing. But then you've also got the crazy shit for the beer nerds. You got these crazy imperial stouts. You got the milkshake. I'm sure you have regular. You sent me home with a couple of the staff versions. I think it was like 6 and 7. There was like a dark saison with some stuff and. Just interesting ass beers, man. That like it's good that you can speak to two palates. You can speak to the people who are just learning and not scare them off. But then, if I bring a friend there who doesn't know much about it, I'm like, cool, you're good. All right, give me this crazy stuff, and I'm happy too. And I really appreciate when a brewery can pull that off because it's there's not always.
And it goes well because you see that, and the beautiful thing is when you start somebody on a Vic Ale or an Italian lager, and the third time they come back because they enjoyed the experience, they're sitting on IPAs or they're sitting on like an oatmeal stout or something. But yeah, this is great, right? That to me is the most. It resonates with my purpose the most out of anything else that happens when you see somebody that is now on the journey and they understand and they buy it and they buy into what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Which is bringing good beer to people that otherwise wouldn't be able to experience it. And that's to me. We always say our purpose is beer the way it should be. That to me is what it is. So to me, if you're coming in, you're experiencing beer the way it should be, which is maybe an Italian lager with your mates, or maybe it's having a paddle of some IPAs and big dark beers or something. But we're enabling that, and I love it when we see somebody go on that journey and end up in a place where I can talk to you now about the flavors, what you're experiencing, and you enjoy it. But we don't need to geek out. We could just say, "This is great,"
Yeah.
Or we can geek out. Like, I'm good, But I'm also okay if you come in and you just have an Italian lager, or you have a Vic Ale or whatever. You need to be our place, but you can appreciate their local, their indie, their quality beers, and you're supporting something, and I'm enjoying it with you. Like it's great, and so many people are every day buying more and more into that, right? So.
I love that, man. Do you get to see that often yourself? Are you like in the tap room enough to be able to kind of witness it, or are you sort of just probably not so much anymore? I mean, really, right now, obviously not. But
Enough. Like I feel like every day was getting to be less and less. But every week I'd be in there at least a little bit.
Okay.
I used to try to go and sit. So we have another location just down the road. I don't know if I showed it yet. We have a warehouse and an office, and that's where the team. But every now and then I just go and try to sit in the brew pub and just get a feel and kind of work there. But the problem is you get your regulars that come in and it's stocky time because Derek's here. Let's sit and have a beer. And so I try to do it when I'm not working and just go and sit. But we'd go in. The family would go in maybe once a week and just have dinner and hang out. And so yeah, I'm in there for a bit. And man, the locals, it's the people that's what's so beautiful about it. When they know you by name, you know them by name, and they're coming to your place and because they love it, right? And they proudly support wear your things, and buy your beers, and believe and want to support you actively. I love that. It's the most beautiful thing about it, right?
I love it 100%, man. I can't imagine even like that would just be such a great feeling, particularly because you built a physical space that now people are coming to, and then that space resonates with them, and then not only does the space make them feel at home, you got these products, and then of course the food is fire too. So it's sort of this whole experience that and as well there's a big gap with no brewery, so like that's the spot for more people. And
Yeah.
they would, you know, if they didn't like it, then they wouldn't keep coming back. Even if it was the only spot, they'd travel further. Particularly beer nerds, I know how we work, and if it's not fire,
Yeah.
they're not going to keep coming. And it's, you know, I think that really speaks volumes. And even now, you got these. Now you're gonna have 2 SKUs in Coles. Is it Liquorland or is that not called that?
Coles does own Liquorland, but it's not. It's in Vintage Cellars and First
Vintage
Choice
Cellars.
Liquor.
Okay, that's great. I mean, so that's like a big step for a craft brewery, because I know that a lot of people who may be getting into it don't go to the like the cellar door or the directly from the brewery. They're going to go to Dan Murphy's, or they're going to go to one of the chain stores in Australia. It works a lot different than Canada. It's great actually, because you've got all these other independent sort of stores. Independent now that the big supermarket chains own them. I didn't know that. That's funny. Probably, you know, BWS. I bet that's owned by somebody too.
That's worse. Yeah.
Of course. Okay. So all of these different like things that are either owned by the big boys. You know, Dan Murphy seems to be its own beast, but there's other ones.
Worse as well.
Pardon?
Dan Murphy's is worse as well.
Okay. All right. Fine. So okay, it's all monopolies, but there's
Sorry.
break my heart, bro. But then you got cool places like Beer Mash and Slow Beer.
No, I'm joking.
Right. Can you imagine? Hey, I wouldn't fault them if they gotta sell, get their money, bro. Do that. You know, so I mean, that's the beer nerds. I guess I am more speaking to the sort of, you know, the supermarket chains, because a lot of the North Americans might not get it, but it's almost like if you go to Loblaws and there's a liquor store, there's an LCBO that's owned by Loblaws that's attached to it, and you can walk into it from the Loblaws and get that, and you can pay for sort of everything all at once. It's an interesting system, and it's just being, you know, in Quebec here or in Ontario, it's a whole other world. It just does not work like that. So it's very cool, and it's like, because so many people who might not be the craft beer nerd yet, but they want to buy something nice or different, they'll start looking, and they've got limited brands typically. That's where I was going first when I didn't know. My mum lives in Berwick, or near Berwick anyway, and there was, in the Berwick area, there was I found it the day before I left the last trip. There was one sick spot that had all fire wine and all local, all like Melbourne beer. And I was going to the Dan Murphy's right behind it, not knowing it was there the whole time. And the Dan Murphy's had all the IPA sitting on the shelf, warm. You know, I was looking at the can dates. Everything was old. Like, they don't care about beer as much. So it's definitely... But the same token, you've got styles. So you're having sorry, what was it? The double IPA and the stout. So the stout, the peanut butter porter, sorry.
Yeah.
So that's going to sit pretty well. Are you concerned?
I am concerned about the double IPA.
Okay.
Yeah. And in fact, we discussed this with them in terms of, so they are, it's refrigerated. It will only be in the refrigerator. And we are holding it refrigerated, and we are holding the stock levels. Their DC is ambient, so we're holding our stock levels at their DC to minimums. So they're working with us on that. So we're going to replenish to order to make sure that the supply chain is nearly fully refrigerated. So and we put the shelf life on it very short to ensure that they can't sell beyond a certain date. So we're doing what we can with it, and then we also told them if we're not happy, we're going to pull it. So we're going to be watching, and they're fine with that. So we said, like, we're not worried about peanut butter porter, but the double IPA, if it's not presenting right, I don't want to fall flat on our face the first time we go out of these state borders with beer that is, has problems. Good news is, when we packaged it yesterday, so we took DO test, and normally DO for us, pickup can be as high as, like, a bad day is around 70 or 80 ppb, which is still acceptable, but you don't want to see that. We're usually in the 40s for most beers. Now, I don't even understand how this happened, but they kept testing it, and then they calibrated the instrument as well, but we're getting 5 ppb on this.
What does that mean?
So it means, like, basically no oxygen in there. It is none. So somehow the day went really well.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So and we put an antioxidant into it as well, to which is quite pricey, but it also will reduce the risk because oxidation is the issue, right? So, but yeah, we 5. Yeah, sorry, I was talking a bit tech there, but basically dissolved oxygen levels on the beer. You want them to be, so an industry standard, you always want to be under 100. Anything above that, it's going to oxidize really quickly.
Okay.
Between 50 and 100 is most breweries will accept it, but not be happy. Get south of 50, you're doing well. He's south of 30 parts per billion. That's major brewery level kind of thing. So, and that one somehow they were getting 5, and I'm like, I don't believe you. Go check that. And they calibrated, tried again, compared it to other beers, and it was. So it was a good run. I don't think we'll always get that, but this first run, there's going to be oxidation, be very unlikely. But we'll still manage it. We're going to check it, and if we're not happy, we will.
Okay.
So there we go with that. So
that's fantastic. Yeah. That's really cool that they're willing to work with you so much. So they probably don't even know that much, I would imagine, about handling a product like this, because most of their beers would have been macro lagers of some description, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a few little, the Cooper's Stout or something, and some Guinness and stuff, but otherwise, mostly, this is a new world for them. So the fact that they believe in you and your brand so heavily that they're willing to let you pull a product that you're making for them, and are operating within that. And I've dealt with, I've interviewed breweries who are dealing with LCBO, and they've done the same thing where they've only delivered to the stores what they order. If they order any more, they're like, why are you ordering more? What's going on? Are you selling more? Like, as in they don't want to, because there's nothing worse than someone buying the product and having a bad experience.
Yeah, because it sits on shelf too long, or gets put on the ambient shelf, or both, right? And then you look and go, you come in and you look at the shelf at the date of it, and you go, you've ruined this.
You've ruined it. You can't fix it.
Yeah, but we could control it, right? So all stuff, we're cool. We know the temp. We know the date. We don't sell anything that goes out of date. We're careful about our turnover. We can ensure it got to Coles in good nick. And if they're working on minimum stock levels, and they've guaranteed it will sit in the shelf, not on the shelf, but only in the fridge, which they've guaranteed that's where it is in the planogram. So we think we've managed it. We think we have, but we've been very clear with them that if we're not happy, it's out. And they're good with that. So
that's great.
So hopefully that doesn't. 5 parts per billion. No, this one won't be a problem.
Yeah. So
I don't know what magically we did, but I'll take it.
Whatever it was. So do you test that over time, just for your own sort of learning, to be how long can I stretch this out till it starts to turn?
Yeah, we do sensory tests. You can't test. So oxidation, it changes its chemical properties that you can't. You can no longer measure the number. Measure it when you pack it. But then once it oxidizes and changes its chemical equation to be another molecule, basically you can no longer pick it up. It's not oxygen anymore. So, but you can pick it up through palate. So we constantly evaluate our beers, and we keep a log of. We basically take a 6-pack of every one of our beers and sit it on a shelf, and then we age it. We try it, and when we know it's starting to be a problem, we're watching. And sometimes we'll pull beers off the shelf if we have to, and it's happened. Maybe once, twice a year, we go out there and just strip them all down if we know something's got a little bit too long in the tooth. But usually it's okay. Between a DO meter, taking the right steps to manage your process, and then watching what's in market, you can mitigate most of the risks. Not all, but most. So, yeah.
That's great, man. I love that you can do that. It's just it's such a. I guess on paper it's a pretty straightforward thing that you're doing, but because it's such a large company that's dealing with it, that makes it even cooler, and because it can lead to some bigger things for you, like that brand awareness, like you say before. The margins, obviously, if someone's going to come in and going to buy a pint from you directly at the brewery, obviously they're the biggest margins, but being that now it's a volume game, so it's getting that, and then now it's going to you're going to be on these shelves, and people are going to be like, oh, so I like this batch, but let me get some more. Can they come to the brewery then? So they discover the double IPA, they discover the peanut butter porter at First Choice or whatever. Like, man, this brewery is sick. I need some more. How does it work now with all the lockdown? Are they able to come to the brewery to purchase packaged products?
Yeah, so we're still open for takeaway and delivery, including as a small shop. So we all of our range is available on the shelf when you come into our place, but there's no on-site consumption. So
okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And with because of the JobKeeper stimulus package by the government here, we can stay open even though not many people come in right now. So so you can. Our numbers aren't that strong, but maybe we need to find a way. Great big signs, straight at the sky or something. Tell people we're open.
Hey, we're here. Bit of Facebook ads or something. I don't know. Let people know.
Do something.
Yeah, I mean, if they're allowed out just before 8 p.m., come by.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Before 8.
Before 8,
That's
because,
right.
you know, sticking to it. Now, I think that's dope. I wasn't sure what the deal was, if you're allowed to be open, or you know, if it's kind of just operating like it was before, where people could just pop in and grab stuff.
Yeah.
That's dope. So that's good. So are you aside from these larger ones, are you distributed in other bottle shops around Melbourne and stuff as well, like the independent ones?
We're in probably so from a major retailer perspective in Victoria, we are with all of the majors. So
Okay.
we're this is the first national launch, but we're already Coles and Woolworths already distribute our products. So we're in Dan Murphy's and BWS in
Oh,
Victoria.
right. Okay.
Premium Dan, so like about 20, I think 23 or 20 Dan Murphy stores. They have probably about, I think probably 40 or 50 in the state. We're on all the premium ones.
Okay.
We're about 50, I think about 50 BWS stores. They probably have a couple hundred. So, but all the ones in the southeast are in. We're in about 90 Liquorlands out of the couple hundred they have, and then we're in all of the First Choice Liquors, and then we're in. What's the other one? All the vintage sellers as well. So
Right.
it's a mix. Yeah. So, and then from independents, we're in probably a few hundred independent bottle shops now. So,
Okay.
I would guess distribution points, maybe 700 or so, probably locations distribute our products now. So,
All right. So that's not what I thought. That's not what I thought at all. Okay, that's amazing. So this is like
Yeah.
almost, this is just taking you national, which then could potentially open you up to new markets. You might have to supply New South Wales and Queensland. And
this has opened up all sorts of doors. Other than the tap, Darwin. I mean,
other than like those 3 kegs going to Darwin, fuck man, you never know. So then the next, I'm glad you positioned that for me. So in my mind, I forgot you said national. I was just thinking like, oh, now it's the big stores, not realizing you in all the other ones. If you now are in these stores and say it picks up and all of a sudden in multiple states there's a demand, are you able to fulfill that demand, or do you need like a separate production facility or something at that point? Like, have you thought about that?
We're running at full capacity now. In fact, we posted it out. We partner brew Victoria Pale Ale with Hawkers Brewing in Reservoir, which is north of the city.
Yes.
Capacity right now, but we're we're running through options and what to do about it. So we have eight kind of 40 hectoliter tanks, and we're looking at trying to. We've got this great idea of. Okay, this sounds nuts, but I actually think it can work.
Okay.
We talked about that's height limited by a gabled roof in a place, right? And we're thinking, what if we were to cut a hole where the tanks are and double the size of those tanks and do 80 hectoliter tanks, and they just kind of pop out of the roof. And just put some flashing around it, and just I
can't see why not.
Because it's people have tanks in any place, right? It doesn't get so cold there'd be a problem.
No.
So maybe snow.
In Dogfish Head in Delaware.
Yeah.
I saw a picture the other day they posted on social, and they had like 10 insane fermenters just sticking into the air, like outside, completely outdoors in Delaware, which means they're getting Sorry?
They would get snow. So
Delaware's like same as New York weather. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my thinking would be absolutely, like, at worst it'll be 0 -5. I believe I heard Melbourne's getting colder in the winters these days, which sucks.
Yeah.
But if that's what it is, and if they can deal in Delaware, maybe that whatever the hell they're doing to make that. Oh, we were in Fort Collins, Colorado, and they had that at multiple breweries, actually all across Colorado. What am I talking? In Durango, Scar Brewing had all these outdoor fermenters. It was crazy. And there's like walkway through them all. You could walk up and stuff. It was wild. I'm pretty sure a bunch of
Great Divide.
Great Divide
in Denver.
Yes.
Yeah.
They got that too. Yeah. Like Colorado gets similar weather to up here, and that's like that's a snow region. It's pretty nippy down there. So, point being, Melbourne being at 0 to -5 at worst case scenario, dead of winter.
-1 this morning. Very nice.
It was what?
Yeah. -1 this morning.
Shit. Okay.
Got up.
I guess you're like, are you as a Canadian? Are you kind of like, what's your?
Well, my dad tells me he tells me I'm soft. So
well, do you know what? To be fair, we went to in the winter in 2016, and it just reminded me. I forgot what it was like, and it was just like it's different. It's nowhere near the severity, but it's still miserable. It's still freezing. You need a jacket. You need a scarf. It's just annoying and I hate rain because of Melbourne. I can't stand rain even to this day. It drives me crazy.
It's raining. I don't know if it's I don't know, but it's raining right now. No, you probably can't. Yeah, it's rain.
It's just raining. I can see it a little bit, but I really feel like you'll be able to make it work. Your father is saying, "Ooh, cold." I love it. Rick's making fun. Daniel was here. What up, Daniel? Been a hot minute. Was good, bro. Yeah, it's like I feel like you'd be able to figure it out. Whatever their secret is, even if it's a specially insulated fermenter, or they just put a little jacket on the damn thing or something. I don't know what. Because if you raise the roof, like you just stick it out the top a little bit, so it's not like the whole fermenter's outside. It's just whatever, just this top part, right?
Yeah, I was thinking like I'm gonna be like an upside down cow, like just nipples. Like
just. I don't know. Just pop a little hat on it. Boom, boom. He's good to go. Man, that could work, and you could make it a branding thing.
Yeah, that's right.
It could be maybe a rooftop patio with drink with the fermenters. I don't know.
Yeah, well, because you think like it would just be a hole. And
just a hole.
You cut a hole,
and you put like a rubber thing to insulate it.
Yeah, I think you just butt up against it with flashing all the way around and seal it off, and then that's. So you'd never dry hop from the top. You'd need a hop cannon, and you'd only ever clean internally. But in an emergency, you'd probably have some sort of access to get up and down anyway at the top if you needed to from the roof point. But, big breweries, they deal with large fermenters that they never go on through the top. Like, I'm sure we can work that out. So you just have, and by doing so, then back to your original question, we could then manage capacity because we are constrained, but our brew house is not at capacity. Our fermenters are. Okay. And we don't have any floor space, so it's either we contract brew, we get another facility, or we get more tanks and there's no floor space. So we're like, what if we just go up and just make them bigger? And that would work.
So there's a willing
to like 1 million liters capacity. So
okay, so that would step it up, but there's a willingness to do that because what I've found is a lot of breweries are sort of happy with the lifestyle. Lifestyle business that just kind of like, no, I'm good. I don't want any more hassle. I don't want to deal with blah, blah, blah. But you're already dealing with it. So it's like, cool, let's just keep going. So you're like, let's fucking go. Let's make this happen type of thing. That's...
Yeah.
Yep.
Break it up a bit. That's probably on my end.
Yeah, we're breaking it. So,
no, I'm sorry.
Go.
No, I was just saying, that's... For us, it's a hard one because we don't entirely own Bad Shepherd either. We own the majority, but we have shareholders and we have a responsibility to deliver growth and a return. So, and then also, I love growing. I love delivering results with purpose and with quality and consistent with our values. So we don't compromise on that. But hey, if there's ways to grow and do cool things and bring Bad Shepherd to more people and celebrate what we are. I love it anyway. So to me, if we owned it all ourselves, I'd still be doing this. Actually, I was going to say maybe some breaks on it, but I don't think it would. I love what we do. And I think it's exciting. It's fun, So I love the journey. I love the fact we have never compromised on quality. And in fact, I'm probably the one that does more than anybody because I'm so keen on successfully running a business, but I have from the sales to the venue to our brewing team, they pull each other up all the time on quality, and it's at the forefront of everything we do. Like this double IPA with Coles, we all stood there and said we will only do this if, and it was very clear. And I think the fact that we can do this in a way that's consistent with who we are and what the products are. Yeah, I love it. And if we can keep growing and doing cool things and make an upside down cow in our place to do it, I'm definitely it'll be fun.
I love it. That was a nice way to wrap this up, brother. I appreciate that. Man, this is great. I'm really glad we got to do this. I know it's not as optimal. I obviously would have preferred to be there and drink a bunch of your fire and have a chat, but at least we got it in. I think it's fantastic. Congrats on all the wins, through a rough time that you're surviving, and not only surviving but thriving. I think it's fantastic. Not really surprised at all. I feel like, immigrants are, we have a little bit of an extra fire up our asses that the average person doesn't have. So, man,
I've never thought of myself as an immigrant, but I love it. I am.
Do you know what? I never thought until I realized when I sort of got basically kind of told almost like I had to go home. I was like, oh, I'm an immigrant. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's really weird and it's terrible. It's a horrible feeling to do that. So like, it's something that you sort of like, you always maybe not trying to prove yourself, but it's an interesting mental perception of yourself in this place. You've been there 14 years. I've been here 10 years next month. I feel both, and I'm sure you probably feel the same. I feel like sort of Canadian and Australian. I'm about to apply for citizenship now, finally. So it's like, did you get? I imagine you have it, obviously.
Yeah.
Right. So you kind of feel this weird in between thing, like, and maybe when you're here and you don't talk to Aussies and you feel more Canadian, and then I talked to you the last 3 weeks. I've talked to Aussies, and I'm like, wow, this is like, there's this hole in your soul that it feels, and just hearing you in a slightly Canadian accent say these Australian sayings that maybe people aren't perceptive about, but I can tell that I just like small things. It's very subtle, but I really appreciate it, and it's sort of like, all right, you just sort of like it's this nice little connection to something else. So it's kind of cool to have something to miss and then be here as well, and like, and even now it's worse because we can't actually go. I mean, we could. You and I could, because they're not going to deny a Canadian or an Australian entry to either point.
Yeah,
but
you wouldn't get back into Canada, would you?
I would get back into Canada. I'm a permanent resident, so I'm good. I'll be fine. I'm never a problem. They legally have to let me in, I think, which is great.
Australia is not letting you leave the country.
Really?
Apply to leave the country, and a significant number of those applications are being rejected. So you need to explain why, because they're worried they have to let you back in because it's your right as a citizen. So they don't want you leaving and then trying to come back and bringing the virus with you. So you have a reason. So yeah.
So then, if I wanted to come, would they try and stop me from going?
Yeah, if you came back, they would try to stop you from going back.
Fuck. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's not going to work too well.
You can get in because you're done, but getting out is hard right now. So.
Okay, well that's look. I have no intention of going anywhere. We'd try even going for a vacation. Was going to go in Quebec, like same before.
Anyway, right? So,
yeah, man, it's not the time. If you have to come and just like quarantine and nothing's open and there's curfews, like what's the point? Like, and whatever. I'm just gonna wait till everything's good. But yes, at least they know they definitely can't. We got a bunch of comments here. Daniel, my friend, he's in Vancouver. He's from England, so he's saying immigrants for the win. We're going to get that passport. Yeah, Dan, I forgot to tell you, I qualify. I spoke to my lawyer. I'm about to apply. I'm just waiting for her to approve my stuff. I'm going to apply. Lee is saying, before you bail, we need this. I know you got one floating around. Do you know what he's talking about? I don't know what he's saying. We need this.
Is this Lambo?
Yeah, Lambo, yeah.
Need what?
I don't know. He said, before you bail, we need this. And I know you got one floating around. A passport or something? I'm not sure. Lee, what are you talking about, fam? Also, that's a really funny thing. So, Lee is a friend of mine. I've known Lee for probably 15 years. He's a fellow MC. We've known each other for forever. And then he was telling me about you because he knew I had the podcast situation. And I think at the same time he told me about you, I got connected with you direct. I already knew who the brewery was, but it was a publicist who got me the media passes for the Good Beer Week. Was like, oh, I represent Bad Shepherd. Do you want to talk to them? I'm like, yeah, I know that. I went there last year. Let's go. Let's do this.
That's right. It was that publicist too, yeah.
Yeah, and it was my family, my mom's sister, my auntie lives around. Auntie and uncle live around, like in Moorabbin. Is it Moorabbin? Whatever, around the corner from the brewery. So it was their local, and I was like, oh, sick. So it was kind of perfect. So it was really funny when Lee was telling me about you. He says, rep the Aussies. I'm not sure. Oh, maybe he's just saying. I'm not really sure what he's saying, but we're repping Aussies. We're all Aussies and we're all Canadian. And also Lee's lived in Canada too, so Lee gets it too. How do you know him?
So I play ice hockey with Lee.
Okay, so
So
that's why he's the most Canadian Aussie I know, because he's playing ice hockey like a boss. I couldn't do that shit. Like, it's wild.
I was blown away when you sent me the Facebook message with Lee. I'm like, wait,
Like,
what?
what?
Each other?
Yeah, man, like, long time. So
Yeah.
I swear he told me about you. I bet you he told me about you when I first came back, before I knew anything about, in 2016, before I knew much about the Aussie craft beer scene. Like,
Yeah.
he's your like soldier, and I know when he was so Lee's done, like, he's a crazy dude, man. Lee's done everything.
Yeah.
He's a fighter too. Was it like MMA or kickboxing or something, or was it just boxing?
It's kickboxing.
Kickboxing. So like this fucking guy. We went out for his, I think it was his 25th birthday, and it was a dress up party. And I don't like dressing up parties, so I just wore a suit and then whatever. Hey, are you that? I'm like, that's who I am. That was my like gimmick. So we went to his thing in Brighton, funnily enough, and then we went to the city. It was me, Lee, and my friend Tommy, and he was wearing a nun's outfit. And we're going to this bar called La Di Da on King Street. You know, King Street, Melbourne's kind of wild. I'll never forget this, because I'm not a fighter at all. I don't fight. I'm not a violent dude. I am like super, like, I don't want confrontation. I don't like it. These four, in Australia we call them wogs, but over here, Italian gentlemen, I guess, or whatever, something like that. They were like, "Yo, take off the nun's outfit." And he's like, "What?" Like, he was giving him attitude. So Lee just looks at me. He knows that I don't fight, so he took the nun hat off, threw it at me, and then fought four dudes by himself.
I'm so not surprised.
And I'm like, so when I saw him, and I've always felt, I think about that often, and I'm always like, fuck, man. Like, he could have de-escalated the situation, and he chose not to, because I imagine he likes fighting. So I can't fight. I probably wouldn't have been any value, but I was wearing a suit with like hard bottom shoes type of thing. So I was like,
Yeah.
I probably couldn't have been much value in that situation, and it ended pretty quick, and he was fine, and we still had a good night afterwards. But like, it was just seeing him, I was like, oh, he's a fighter. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It was just like he's just done a lot of stuff. He's a good dude.
I'm not surprised. Like he's one tough customer.
Yeah.
I actually saw him fight in a kickboxing match, and just goes to show what he's just a heart and soul awesome guy. He everything about Rambo is, but he for his fight he had these T-shirts made up, and he reached out to me to see if we could support him, and we're trying to work something out. I never quite got that, but he just threw our brand on the shirt anyway. And that just speaks volumes about who he is, right? Like, we still have never actually contributed. We will, Lambo, if you're still watching, but if you fight again. But, yeah, it just speaks volumes to who he is, right? He's just, guy's salt of the earth. He's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, man. I can see that.
Win, and it was unfortunate because it was a pretty close match. Probably wouldn't have won, but he got TKO, and it was because the referee had him do sort of test or whatever, and he turned the wrong way, which I think he just misheard him. And we're looking going, well, clearly he's still got his wits, and the ref called it. It was too bad because it would have been nice to see the fight finish. But yeah, no, he's a strong boy. For sure.
Yeah, it's admirable to see that, because when you're not that, and then you see someone who can take it and give it, and it's not a problem. I'm like, all right, it's a whole different thing. He's like, says team players. Lee saying team players, all caps. That nun story. Do you remember that, Lee? That shit was fucked up. I just want to say I'm sorry for being a pussy, bro. Like, it's just not me. He knew that though, and I know that like he wouldn't hold that against me. But it's something I think about from the awkward shit in your life. Like, fuck, man, what if I did that different? There was always one of those things. Like, should I have helped him out? Maybe I should have.
You should.
But I'm like,
still behind.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, you get him. But it was actually cooler to watch him take on four dudes with no fear. I'm like, damn, man, like. That would be cool one day to be like, all right, let's go. Because there was three of us, I guess. I don't think there was any other dudes. But my other friend was also equally not a fighter. We're just not those guys. It's just probably about. Though we've had some incidents here, we've sorted it out as a team. Like we made it happen. I was like, okay, I'm not a pussy when it comes down to it. But at the time, was not ready for that.
Yeah.
It was. Whoa, this. You right? That's mine.
Oh, that's yours?
You need it?
Oh,
Yours is here.
Oh.
To try to take my
Trying to be slick.
cable. You trying to be slick? Popping up? But yeah, yes, Dereck, everything is great. So look, man, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate your time tonight. This is dope. Where can everybody find Bad Shepherd online?
Badshepherd.com.au. So shepherd spelled properly, like the dog, or a shepherd. So there's no A in the word shepherd.
No A.
SHEPHERD.com.au. And on Facebook and Insta. I think we're on Twitter too, but I don't really use it. So Facebook and Insta as well. We tell our stories to there. You sign up for emails. Get some fun emails and do a lot of promotions in there too. So we're always giving away shit. Like I'm sure we'll probably be doing promos with those masks. So, but there's always something. So,
perfect.
But yeah, and we do have an online store, so we ship not to Canada, unfortunately, but anywhere in Australia through our online store. So
would that be for beers, not to Canada, but you would ship merch to Canada if people wanted to buy it?
Not currently, but I'm sure we could. Well, let me get on that and maybe check in a couple of weeks. I'm sure we could. And we're going to try to send some stock up. I actually, just quickly, I judge the Australian Beer Awards every year, and they fly people in for it to judge, and they flew in the beer buyer for the LCBO last year. What's that?
Smart move.
Yeah, and he loved our beers and followed up to love to list your beers in Ontario. Here's what you need to do. I just got a headache looking at the forms and never did anything about it.
I can imagine, man.
But we're approved to list. I just have to do things, and it was hard. So I'm at some point we'll be in Ontario with our beers in some locations anyway. So
that would be amazing. For the selfish part of me, please do that. That would be great. Because we don't. I've got a guy. I know a dude here in Quebec, and he runs an import agency. He brings out La Sirène out here. He
really?
asked me about Mr. Banks because I posted about him, and I bet he's going to ask me about you now. I'm going to post about you. I am more than happy to put you in touch with him because that would get you in Quebec and the SAQs out here.
Yeah.
And that would please me greatly.
Love it if you could connect me. I have so many Canadian friends, even just for fun, to send up once or twice an hour.
Yeah, he said that because when he asked me to put him in touch, he was like, even if it's like a once-off or just a couple times a year, once a year, something like that, he would love that. Yeah. That would be like, then there's two, and I bet you because he's the middleman, rather than dealing with the SAQ directly, you're dealing with an import agency. You wouldn't probably have to fill out as many forms. I imagine it'd be like, oh, you want the beer? Here, this is what it costs. Here's the beer, bye. Like,
I'll do all the rest.
Because when you're in LCBO, it's like I've had my brewery friends tell me what they have to do and the lab tests and blah blah blah. It sounds like a nightmare.
It looks scary.
But they're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the entire world. So it definitely would be worth it. And I feel like Canada's a little bit the States is obviously the leader. Canada's a bit behind that. Australia's a bit behind that. So to have it out here, and I feel like the quality of what's happening out here is higher right now than it's ever been, and the appetite for something interesting from somewhere else like Australia that isn't the typical stuff that they've only ever got Foster's and occasionally you get some VB or something out here. That's as far as it went. So to be able to get some craft beer, I don't know if the LCBO gets anything. Period. Even when I saw La Sirène out here, I lost my mind. I was like, this is wild. I couldn't believe it. So and they sent a saison, so it was something that the SAQ has a bullshit rule where they keep the stock for 12 weeks in their warehouse. So what you would probably have to do to get it in, it would not be any hoppy beers. It would be your porter or something like that, or a stout, or something that will be able to last that 3 months on a shelf, like a saison or whatever. But I feel like bringing the saison to the land of saisons is kind of boring.
And probably ambitious. Things like our hazelnut brown or oatmeal stout, peanut butter porter.
Something like that, man. And it's really cool when they have their good selection. They don't have a lot of beers in most SAQs out here, so I feel like it will stand out if there's something that looks like your beers do, and it's from Australia. Like people get excited about that stuff. So I'll
connect me up.
I'll send him a message as soon as we're done.
In winter, could even have a chat about it. So yeah, I'd love to send something up and just for funny. Yeah, and see where it goes.
Yeah, man, I love it. Yo, let's take the thumbnail. Actually, I got to do that whilst we're online live because the software looks bad. So if you don't hold up a couple cans so we can see some branding there.
All right.
We let you know. It's all about branding, as you know. Here we go. Right?
Yeah.
Legend. Look at us. Gorgeous, Dereck. Look at that, mate. Dude, I appreciate you, bro. This is great. I'm really glad we got to do it. Like I said, I would have preferred to do it in person, but it is what it is. We know where we can find you. So stick around after I end the podcast part. Then we end the live. Then it would be you and me on Skype for a sec. So, man, appreciate you. Everybody go cop that. If you're in North America, go hassle Dereck to see, like, hey, man, can I buy some merch and can you send it out to me? Because the merch is fire. I'm sure you'll figure that out for the postage. Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast. So check out the long form audio so you can hear extraordinarily attractive immigrants like Dereck talk about craft beer all across the world. That's it, y'all. We'll see you in the next episode. Get in, yeah.
Cheers.
Boom. All right, y'all. Live people, thank you for tuning in. Oh, Lee just comment. What's he say? Oh, Bruce Morris. Nice photo. He liked that. Bruce is a Canadian who was living in Dallas. He just moved back to, or at least temporarily back to Canada for their safety there. Love it. Bruce is a legend. Lee says, killer show, fellas. Great work. Enjoy that. Appreciate you, man. Lee, you're a ledge. Lee was the reason this happened because him and I were talking, and he was like, yo, should I have Dereck on? I'm like, fuck yeah, let's have Dereck on. I've been meaning to do this for a minute, so that's dope. Bruce says, sorry to miss this. Don't worry, brother. You can always check it out. And Rick, great podcast and great host moderator. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Your son is doing you proud. It does, it's hard to be this far away from our respective families, but, you do what you got to do. The sooner we get this nonsense over with, the sooner we can see everybody. So, yeah, man, this has been great. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thanks. It's been awesome.
Yeah, man. We'll talk soon. Guys, we'll be back. Oh, I think we're going to take next week off because we're going to Quebec City next week. So I'll let y'all know on social, but I think we might be back the following week. So we'll see y'all then. Dereck, your legend. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.